want to read his statement that he posted because it could give some context to someone who may not have seen everything that went down on Friday. He wrote, "Welp, this fucking sucks. TLDR, I'm bi. Not the way I wanted to do this, but the chance to do it was when I was ready, and that was taken away from me. I've tried to keep my dating life private from social media. I've dated girls my whole life and suppressed feelings I had throughout high school, being on the wrestling team, throughout college, pursuing MMA, and even after making part of the dream happen and getting into the UFC. I'm a pretty masculine dude, and that bro-y banter and sus sense of humor has always been how I am. The thought of my buddies, teammates, and people I look up to looking at me different, let alone treating me different for something I can't control, was something I couldn't fathom. In a sport like this, where a majority of the fans being the homophobic expletive that they are, I didn't see myself doing this during this part of my career. I wanted to be known for my skills and what I've dedicated the last 11 years of my life to, and not the quote bi UFC fighter that I'm sure would just be translated to quote gay UFC fighter. The second part, how I am. Okay, sorry. To the awful, disturbed person that decided to post this ish, I hope it was worth it. At the end of the day, I know my character, morals, and who I am as a person. As much as I'm getting hatred / shitted on, I'm getting an equal amount of support, and it means a fuck ton. I can't imagine why he would get crap or hate. I guess, that's the internet, that's society, that's life, the cesspool that is social media and Twitter. But I did see a lot of people offer support, show love, show respect. And that was really great to see, especially in this, as he put it, bro-y masculine world that we reside in, that is known as the MMA community. And I sent Jeff a text. I tweeted him under his post, but this is obviously a very personal thing, a very private thing, and didn't ask him to come on the show or anything like that. And he sent me a text back, and we got talking, and here we are. And so I really do appreciate him wanting to talk about this. I think he could be a massive inspiration to people all over the world and a tremendous role model as well. And so without further ado, let us say hello to Jeff Molina, who is joining us right now. Hello, Jeff. Thank you for doing this. Appreciate
it. What's up, brother? Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
It's great to talk to you again. Obviously, a lot to talk about. Appreciate the time, and lovely to see you here on the program. Could I ask, just a simple question that sometimes we throw out that is not meant to be deep, but in this case, I think it is. How are you doing? How have the last few days been? How are you handling everything?
It's been a mix of emotions, man. But first off, I want to say Jay Heron, for you guys that don't know him, straight up savage. He's a legend. I got the privilege to watch him train. I didn't recognize who he was. I knew who Jay Heron was. He fought my coach, Jason High, back in the day.
Yes.
I was at Extreme Couture once, hitting mitts with Nixick. I look over and I see this guy just blasting mitts. And I'm like, who is that guy? This guy's huge. This guy's jacked. And then Nixick goes, that's Jay Heron. I'm like, no way. Obviously he put on some size. He's an actor now, super muscular. But, man, salute to him. He's a gangster. I think he's a little humble. When he was on the show earlier talking about, sometimes I train, sometimes I get in there with the guys. That guy is a gangster, man. I saw him on the mitts. I saw him spar. The guy still got it.
Nice. Glad to hear that.
But to get back to what you were saying, yes. Ariel, man, it's been a mix of emotions. Crazy last week, crazy couple months. It's been a mix of emotions, but I'm doing all right.
Okay.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
I ever ask you how you doing?
I appreciate that. Good. Thank you. Appreciate that. All good. So could I ask, how did this all come about? Why did this come about? How did this come about? Do you have any idea?
Yeah. I was told that it was going to be posted. And I checked the Twitter account it was getting posted from. It was posted. It was deleted. Posted again, deleted, posted the third time, deleted, all within a couple minutes, 3 minutes tops, It was for the guy that posted wanted an apology from me for some petty thing. Within I think it was after the second post, I got like 2 DMs or 3 DMs on Twitter that was like, "Hey, send me $10,000 or send me $25,000. I'm going to post this." And I was like, "Fuck!" Immediately, it's like, "Oh no!" Like my life's in shambles. Like I'm going through it. I'm balling. I'm like, "No, like why?" Like I got enough on my plate, man. Like, yeah, it was. I never want to be that guy that's like, "Oh, boo hoo!" Like me, like I'm going through this, I'm going through that, or victimize myself in any way. But this one sucked, man. This one was tough, and um, the kid that posted it, he has mental health issues, so that doesn't justify what he did by any means. But I didn't think. I think. I think he thinks no one would have grabbed it that fast. But he was tagging. He tagged like 2 reporters in these 3 tweets, and yeah, they were only up for a couple minutes, but they were grabbed, and immediately I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Um, so that's how that happened. I think that was on a Thursday afternoon. Literally went to practice, grabbed lunch with some buddies, came back, and this is what I was dealt with.
Right. And so you knew this person, like you had a relationship with this person and he was mad at you and wanted to kind of get back at you basically?
Yeah, yeah, exactly that.
Okay. Um and in that moment when you see this come out, I can't imagine what that feels like. Did you call anyone? Did you tell anyone? Like how did you handle it? Obviously you said that you became emotional, but tough spot to be in.
Yeah,
What did you do when you noticed that this was out there?
I didn't know what to do, man. Huge shout out to Ben Davis. I know you know who that is,
Of
Ariel.
course. Yeah, Ben the Bane.
A kid around my age. I think we're the same age. I shouldn't call him a kid. He hardworking guy. He kills it on Twitter. He's got a bunch of commentary gigs. He's gonna go far. But a similar thing happened to him a couple months ago where he was kind of outed. I think it was like a screenshot or something. Not to get into specifics, but went through something very similar. And he had saw something circulating. It happened so fast. Like when this got out, like I had 2 people hit me up that were like in these like MMA discords that were like, "Yo, like you okay? Like what's going on?" And it all happened within like it felt like a 20-minute period that this just like unfolded. Like that someone recorded this and then like they're trying to blackmail me, send me $25,000, send me $10,000. Anyway, Ben was like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm not I'm not okay." And man, Ben was like I literally asked him like, "Do what I do?" Like, and he was like, "Man, you can make a statement, try to get ahead of this. You can, try to solve this with humor. Like him and I both have similar senses of humor.
Right.
I'm a huge comedy fan. It's a great way to cope with issues. Yeah, like Adam Hunter was making some funny tweets the other day about it. It took a day or two for me to be able to joke about it, but I love comedy. I'm a huge comedy fan. Schultz, the second best MMA reporter
Thank you. Appreciate
on
that. Very kind of
besides
you.
you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. You would probably
On
tell
review, of
him that he's
course.
the best, right? If you were on his show, but that's fine. Listen, it's okay.
I'm not going to say whether I would or not, but just on this show,
Right.
yeah, no,
Thank you. Thank you.
you're a mensch. Uh,
Thank you.
but yeah, so he was like, handle it with humor, make a statement, man. Like I got your back. Like I know exactly what this feels like. Obviously, the circumstances were a little different, but it was nice to have someone that I could spitball ideas with into. Like I have obviously a good group of friends around me, but that's an uncomfortable conversation to have with just friends that aren't that haven't experienced something similar and know exactly what that's like. So yeah, huge shout out to Ben Davis. That kid's you know his ceiling is up there, and I think he helped me out a ton, and I'm forever grateful for Ben and our friendship. To the point where I even joked when I made the statement, I posted something at the bottom. People assumed that was in the video that was posted that was him, just because apparently there can't be more than 2 bi people on MMA Twitter. So they immediately assumed it was him. So just to keep the joke rolling, I made a little funny comment, I guess. But yeah, I didn't know how to handle it, and honestly, I sent him the statement I was going to put out. Like I was up till like 3 a.m. sent him the statement. I was like, hey, thoughts, like, what do you think? He's like, man, if you're ready for this. The next day before posting it, I joked with him like, hey, tell me to do this. Tell me to send it. Like, no, this isn't going on me, man. You got to be ready to send it. It took a little bit of time. I sent it, and within a couple hours, I almost like immediately regretted it. It come here, bud. It I did a really good job of reporting every account that was posting this video. My buddy's pretty tech savvy. I'm pretty tech savvy myself, and my buddy's like a coding guy. And he got like a couple websites like not shut down, but just the pages removed where they were posting it. And I did a pretty good job of making sure this video. That was one thing that bothered me the most about the situation, Ariel, was like, this is going to be on the internet for the rest of my fucking life. And I'm not saying it's not going to be still, but we've done a pretty good job of making sure it's not accessible easily, at least. So after kind of realizing like, hey, like people are sending me DMs like, hey, where can I see this video? I'm like, man, why would I want something intimate like that to be exposed? And so yeah, I regretted it. I was like, man, I got the video off the internet. Maybe I should have just let this die down and keep my head low, and then been like, oh, it was Photoshop. It was a deep fake or something,
Yeah.
But the tune kind of changed. A couple hours went by, and tune kind of changed. A couple hours went by, and I got an influx of support, and yeah, it was heartwarming to get messages from fellow athletes that are closeted, fellow UFC fighters that are closeted, people with notoriety, that were just like, hey man, it's an inspiration. It sucks on the terms that it happened, but you're an inspiration. It's inspiring for you to come out and be the first male UFC fighter to be out. And that definitely changed the tune of how I was feeling. It almost felt good to turn like a shitty situation into a positive by knowing I'm inspiring people around the world. Like when I say it was more than just a dozen, it was at least 100 messages that from fighters, athletes, actors, musicians, just your regular Joe. It was that was pretty cool.
Do you still regret it?
No. I think that the circumstances suck. I don't regret it. I don't. Growing up, these were feelings I suppressed. These were things I almost denied. I kept telling myself like, no, I wrestled in high school. I was a jock in high school. So I was almost mad at myself growing up that these were feelings that I had, and I almost would like deny them. Like I would suppress them. I dated a girl for almost 3 years in high school, and wanting and thinking like wanting to be normal, like quote unquote normal, but I'm not abnormal. Like this should be something that's normalized. It's something that isn't my personality. It's something so small, and it shouldn't matter, but it does apparently. And obviously, if it didn't matter, this was something I would have done years ago when I first had these feelings. But just the thought of someone treating me different or looking at me different and having to have ththese uncomfortable conversations with people is something that just makes my stomach turn. So especially in a sport like this, it's super masculine, and I'm a masculine guy. I enjoy the broy banter. I like hanging out with my friends and talking about girls. I like cracking jokes. Like if someone goes for a heel hook in jiu-jitsu, you can go gay. Like that's my sense of humor.
Right.
Like that's what we do at the gym. That's the broy banter I have, and there's nothing. Yeah, I want it to be known that, and it took me a while to come to terms with this. Obviously, like these last couple of days have been pretty crazy. All right, I gotta get my pup out, but
No problem. No
these
problem.
last couple of days have been pretty wild, and it's almost it almost helped me come to terms with I am normal. This is something that's a part of me, and it's not my personality. And I used to be mad at myself when I was 16, 17, like for even having these feelings and thinking a certain way. And um, it does feel good to, obviously I'm still letting everything settle in, and the support's been awesome. Friends, family reaching out. that was my biggest worry, is going to the gym and just have like one person even like looking at me different or treating me different. Yeah, look at me, let alone treating me different. Just is heartbreaking, but it's all been good, and I know not everyone's gonna have the same experience if and when they do come out, but it's something that you shouldn't be ashamed of who you are. Um, this should be something that is normalized, and it sucks that it's not. And I'm hoping one day we can get to a place where it is.
Did your family know, or did they find out via all of this?
Yeah, luckily, I came out to my parents last March or April.
Okay.
My parents and my older brother, who's like my best friend. That's my dog. So they were the only people to know. Obviously, that was super difficult for me too. At 24 years old, to have that conversation with my folks. They were super accepting. Nothing changed. But again, for the thought of something potentially changing, it was pretty scary. Pretty scary to have that conversation, and it was difficult. Yeah.
It's interesting because obviously I talk to a lot of athletes and a lot of people, and we've been doing this for a long time. I don't I don't think I'm pretty sure I've never asked someone, nor do I care. Like, hey, are you gay? Are you a lesbian? Like, this doesn't come up. So even when I saw this, I was like, I can't believe that you even have to go through this. I can't believe anyone cares. I can't to a degree. Like, I saw ESPN post something, and I can understand why it's news, but it's like this is your life. Like, like I said before you came on, like if you're not hurting anyone, if you're not doing anything illegal, like none of us should care. Like, you shouldn't care. I shouldn't care about you. You shouldn't care about like we're all if we're just being good humans, it's all good. Well, what's the big deal? But I know we don't live in that sort of fairy tale world. And so I almost feel weird, if I'm being honest, like asking you about any of this, because you don't deserve any of this. Like, you don't deserve having to talk about your personal life, your relationships. That's not our business. And so I give you a lot of credit for even sitting here and answering this and being that role model, because you are that role model and you are that inspiration for, I know, a lot of people, as you alluded, a lot of people wrote to you. But is there a part of you that feels like this is kind of crazy that I even have to do this, because none of you are talking about your like let's open up your closet, right? Everyone
Yeah.
come, is there a part of you that feels that way?
Yeah, 100%, Ariel. Even this, just had to talk off camera via text and on the phone. I was teetering back and forth on whether this is a good idea or not. Like, I'm not a big fan of undeserved attention. When we spoke last June, it was after my fight. I had a shit performance. It was a split decision win. Yeah, it was a terrible fight. But I got attention for what I said afterwards, and it didn't feel right. It was just like, man, I'm saying normal, humane things, but it drew a lot of attention and flack. And yeah, I talked to you afterwards, and I almost felt like I insulted you a little bit and saying like, man, I hope I'm not on here for just what I said afterwards, but because I'm 3-0 in the UFC, and usually my fights are bangers when someone's just not trying to hug me for 15 minutes, and had a shit performance and terrible weight cut. I was seizing an elevator, whatever. It was that's on me. Like, that performance is on me, but I'm not a big fan of undeserved attention on my birthday. I just like being with friends and family, stuff like that. And it felt like I was getting undeserved attention back in June. Like, after a fight is the one time I want attention, right? If I win a fight, I put on a performance, give me that attention that's earned. I just busted my ass for 3 months eating chicken and kale for fucking 12 weeks, like, cutting weight, sacrificing birthdays, weddings, events, whatever. That's my job. I chose that. I'm not complaining. I want that attention after a fight. After the attention, yes, like let's go to a restaurant, let's take pictures, all that jazz, for sure. I earned that. So when we spoke back in June, it felt undeserved. And that's why I was kind of teetering back and forth whether so I put myself in the public eye again and go on a show like this. For like, what's the reasoning for it? Like, this shouldn't be anything that's crazy, like, wow, like, but I understand it is. I understand that the world we live in, and this isn't normal. This is abnormal, and a lot of people look down on it, and hate on it because of their religion or whatever reason they use to justify hating another person that's not doing anything to them. So yeah, I was kind of on the fence. Ariel, you know this, and you were super cool about it. You're like, hey man, no pressure. The slot's open, sleep on it and whatnot. And for that, super appreciative, man. Because I did speak to a couple people that were like, hey, I was like, hey, what do I do? I know I have a platform now where I can inspire a lot of people that are in the same boat or were in the same boat that I was in. So, like I said earlier, if I can turn something pretty shitty into something positive, and even if it's only 20 people that I inspire to come to terms with who they are, then I'll be fulfilled by that, and I'll chalk that off as a dub.
So, I know when we spoke in June, we spoke, about the kid and about why you wore it. But now that all this information is out and that wasn't out back then, is there more to that story?
Not necessarily. Like it was offered, and the thought of changing up a fight kit that's usually pretty plain and boring was cool.
Hmm.
First off, two, if it supports a good cause, hell yeah. Three, if I'm part of that cause, hell yeah. So not more to the story really. It wasn't like, oh, I'm doing this because it's gonna get a lot of attention, and or hey, this is like gonna turn waves, or gonna be no. I honestly, so many other people wore it, by the way, that month. Like a
Yeah.
ton of fighters wore it. I was the only one that just posted a picture. I remember it was like it was something so small, man. It was like during media, we got our kits to do the interviews in, and I just took a picture of the kit, and I was like, oh, this is cool, and just got shit on like
Really?
but yeah, it was a lot of like I remember there was like a lot of Russian people telling me like, oh, you're a faggot, you're gonna burn in hell, like you're disgusting, you're this and that. And I was like, whoa, it was a little unexpected, but I guess should be expected by uh, the volatile place that is Twitter sometimes, and the fact that these guys don't are behind a computer screen and don't even have a profile picture. And
Hmm. Hmm.
but yeah, I was kind of surprised, and let me close this door. So I responded to it, and that was it. And I got a lot of eyeballs on me, and it just felt weird and off. And people were like, "Oh, you're only doing this for attention. You're only doing this for clout." I did not bring it up at all during the press conference. It was the last question before you leave. They're like, "Hey, last question." They're like, "How do you feel about this?" And it's post fight, adrenaline's through the roof. So yeah, I got on my soapbox for a little bit. Obviously, this is something I care about now, knowing that I'm bi, and it was something that I just didn't really comprehend. So I get asked a question post fight, adrenaline's through the roof, and I said what I said. But there wasn't more to wearing the fight kit other than, hey, sports a good cause and it looks cool. It's not your regular plain same fight kit that I already have two of or three of, whatever it was.
I wanted to ask you about something that you wrote in your statement on Friday. Um, you wrote, "I wanted to be known for my skills and what I've dedicated the last 11 years of my life to, and not the quote bi UFC fighter that I'm sure would just be translated into quote gay UFC fighter." And I did see some headlines and stuff referring to you as a gay UFC fighter. And so I just want to allow you to clear that up for someone who I don't really totally understand the nuance here. Um, for you, what is the difference? Why do you want to be known as one and not the other? Do you get offended if someone calls you one, not the other? Can you clear that up for me?
Yeah. At first I did, and then at a point it was just like, call me what you want, man. I know I know that I like both females and guys, and that's something that's again not normalized. So the headlines coming out is gay UFC fighter. That's okay. At first it did offend me, but you know that's not the case. If you want to call me that, some guys were like, man, if you like dudes, you're gay. Like I don't care what you say. And then I also saw a lot of people in the community saying, um, man, just say you're gay. Like you don't have to hide it. You don't have to not be yourself. Just come out and say it. And it's like, how are you going to tell me? Like
Yeah.
it was almost surprising. Like people that are in the community that aren't supposed to be judgmental were like, man, just come out and say it. You know, you're one of us. I'm like, man, part of me is one of us for sure. Uh, but you know, I can't help the way I feel, and so yeah, it doesn't bother me or offend me. But as far as being known as this, like that's what bothered me the most about, you know, since I've been in the UFC since 2020. Um, and I knew that one day I'd come out. I wanted to be on my own terms, of course, and not like this. But um, I wanted to be in a different part of my career, and I knew coming out would just be like all my accomplishments. You know, the fact that I go out there and put on performances besides my last fight, but my Contender Series fight was a banger. Dana told me if they were giving out bonuses that night, I would have got 50K. My debut fight was a 50K bonus for fight of the night. My second fight, I TKO'd a kid with you know, a straight cross that was cash money. I would have got a bonus, but they gave it to I think Vittori because Costa missed weight and I think he got like both bonuses or something. But I got told from management that I should have got that bonus, which was kind of a bummer. Because I think they were going to give him fight of the night, but they gave him performance of the night instead, or something like that. Regardless, I want to be known for my skills, man. I've been doing this since I was 14 years old, and I bust my ass. You know, I'm not the most athletic kid in the world, but I train my ass off. I'm in the gym every day, 2-3 times a day. And this wasn't something that I wanted to be known for. This is, again, something like we talked about, so small and like isn't my personality. It's a part of who I am, but it's not like me, if that makes sense. Like this is just something that should be like
Right.
nonchalant, and unfortunately it's not. But now that this is out, and you know, my hand was kind of forced in coming out, but it is what it is. I'm not going to cry over spilt milk, and I'm going to take it in stride. And if I can inspire other people, then that's what I want to do.
Did you have a plan as to when you were going to do this? If you were going to do it at all, like, were you going to do it while you were like, was this something that you dreamed of? I want to be an active fighter and share this news with the world. Did you think about doing it when you were much older? What were you thinking, if anything?
Yeah, my plan was to get out of this game by the time I'm 30. By the time I'm 30, I would I'd been doing this for more than half my life, you know, 16 years at that point. And yeah, you know, I still want to be able to read my future kids a book or sign a check when I'm older. And a lot of times, especially in the lighter weight classes, father time catches up with these guys and they kind of stick around a little too long. And I didn't want that to be me. So it was going to see how stuff panned out, but I planned on doing it while I was in the UFC. You know, I didn't care if I was the first, I didn't care if it was whatever, but I knew when I was ready to do it, it would inspire other people. Um, like I said, I came out to my parents last year, and that was like the first step, right? The first step and opening it up, and eventually telling friends and other family members. And but I guess there's no set game plan. It was just kind of play it by ear, see how you feel. But it was before I hung them up, and later on in my career in the UFC, to come out.
You mentioned at the top, it's been a crazy few months. Um, I'd be remiss if I don't ask you, are you still a UFC fighter? Are you currently a UFC fighter?
Yeah, I'm still signed. I got drug tested on Friday. USADA came to the house and drug tested me, so I'm still on the roster. Obviously, there's an investigation going on, so there's not much I can speak on that topic. But yeah, currently still signed.
Okay, and I was gonna get, after that I was gonna get to, the situation with James Krause, your I guess former coach. If you're a UFC fighter, they've already said that you can't work with him, that no fighter can work with him, that no fighter can, well, pending this investigation, Nevada as well. And so I was just curious what your status was. You say that the investigation is still ongoing, and so there's nothing you can tell us about your involvement or your status in any of this.
Right? Yeah, it's still going. I just hope it's over sooner than later, so I can get back to doing what I love.
Do you know, like, are you being told a month you'll know, or 2 weeks you'll know, or you don't know anything? You're just kind of in limbo.
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
just all I know is pending.
Right. And
So
and how
um,
how have you been doing? Like before all of this? This is a lot of stuff to deal with for a 24-year-old.
yeah, man. So obviously, I had some downtime being suspended until this is all over and not really having a date. So I've been coaching. I went to Europe for a month, which was pretty cool. Um, my friend's parents paid for a trip to Europe to kind of get away, and that was awesome. Went to Amsterdam, went to Bruges, went to Paris. So traveling is super important to me. It's one of the cool things about being in the sport was that I could travel the world on UFC's dime and get to experience different cultures and different food, and just that's important to me in life. So I got insurance this year, which is great. So
Nice.
I've been, I got diagnosed with ADHD for going to the doctors for like the first time forever. So um, taking medication for that, which has helped a ton, and just staying busy. Another thing was I joined the board of members of this charity. It's called One Community BJJ, and this is something I'm super passionate about. And the nonprofit is they teach jujitsu for free to kids, teenagers, adults in Wyandotte County. It's a county here in Kansas that's very, very poverty ridden, and I think like the per capita income is $18,000 per household, which is
Wow.
nuts. So this is something I would teach once a month. This last year, whenever I had time and wasn't in fight camp, or it was at the start of a fight camp to where I had a little more free time. Um, but basically, they teach jujitsu for free to kids that maybe have a troubled home life, or to keep some of these guys off the streets, and just give them an outlet. And it's awesome, man. The cause, the message. Like, I know how much this sport's impacted my life. Um, I know the life lessons it's taught me. It teaches you so much. If you've ever trained, you know that it teaches you how to be humble. That there's always somebody bigger and badder than you. It teaches you not to have an ego. It teaches you discipline. You get what you put in. You work hard. Most of the time, the results reflect that. The more time you do something, the better you get at it. That's just science. Like, you don't get worse from doing something over and over again every day. Um, so I know how much the sport's impacted me, what it's taught me, and the self defense aspect is also great for some of these kids and teenagers and even adults. Like, it's free for everybody, and it's something that right now it's being taught out of in an abandoned elementary school
Mm.
that's being used for like Catholic classes. And we have like 700 square feet of mat space right now, but we make it work. And it's this has been going on for about a year. Like I said, I just became a member of the board last month, and now I teach weekly every Wednesday night. So tonight I'll be teaching. You guys are in Wyandotte County or nearby in the KC metro area, swing by, do some free jujitsu.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like, I'm already thinking big picture. We're trying to get a bigger gym space. We want to make an after school program to where these kids don't have to go home and face whatever's going on at home. They can come do jujitsu, and it's deeper than just triangles and arm bars. Like, this is a great outlet. I love this sport. Again, changed my life, and if I can impact kids, teenagers, adults, their lives, even just a little bit, even a quarter of what impacted me, then I'm golden. I'm great. And I'm already picturing me sitting down on the coach's chair at a jiu-jitsu tournament, screaming at some 7-year-olds to pass guard. Like, I'm already thinking that far ahead. But it's been going well. We average about like 10, 12 kids or adults per class. And we got all sorts of people coming in, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to be a part of this. And again, it's called One Community Jiu-Jitsu. The website's One Community BJJ. Man, we're taking volunteers, donations. We just became tax exempt. We did the 501c3, so it's a complete nonprofit for any of you wealthy folks that want a tax write-off and want to support a really good cause. And this is one of them. So onecommunitybjj.com. The GoFundMe's on there. It's been going on for, I think, about over a year, maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, this is something I know I'm going on a tangent here, but it's something I'm passionate about. When I get to talking about it, I get goosebumps talking about it, because
I love it.
it's something that's pretty cool, man. And yeah, it's cool to be a part of, and just seeing these kids get better, the progress, and their triangles look better, or the way they're passing guard, or the way they're taking the back. Like, it's cool, and watching the progression and whatever the story is, right? Whether it's weight loss, seeing the technique get better, seeing them pull off a submission, like that brings I enjoy that, that brings I guess selfishly, not only do I get better from being able to teach, but just it makes me feel good. So it's pretty cool.
And the people you work with, the people you train with, teammates, just people who are around you who may have not known about all of this. What have you heard from them? How's that been when you went back to the gym and all that?
Yeah, there's been a influx of messages from teammates that have meant a lot, of course. So this happened on a Thursday. Friday morning, I did not go to the gym. No way I could have faced everybody back then. Um, Saturday morning didn't go either. Monday morning didn't go. So this is still recent.
Oh,
Today Wednesday. Yeah, I went to the gym yesterday morning, um, and it was okay. It was smooth sailing. It was normal. Um, I guess I went in thinking the worst, and it was normal. Everyone treated me the same, and it was the same jokes and the same. Like that's what's cool about the sport, I guess, is that when you step on the mats, you're not thinking about what's going on at home. You're not thinking about what's going on in life. Like when there's punches, kicks, elbows coming at you, or if it's jujitsu, you're someone's throwing up a triangle, or they're trying to choke you unconscious or choke you out. It's kind of hard to think about these other things. But going back to the nonprofit, that's what's cool, is that whatever's going on at home for these guys, or outside of in school, or you know, uh, some of these guys have some troubled past. So on the streets, they don't have to think about that. They just think about what we're doing, what we're drilling, and then the live rolls. So, yeah, yesterday was smooth sailing for me. I had a lot of people come up to me like, dude, we love you, man. Nothing's changed. You're my dog, which was cool. Saturday night, I went out with some teammates of mine, some buddies, which meant the world that they would invite me. Like they knew what I was going through. And it was just a night out. We went to a bar, we danced, we just had a good time. We got Waterburger at like 4 a.m. It was just it meant a ton. I know they knew I was going through it, and yeah, that was pretty cool. But yeah, at the gym, most of those guys had already messaged me this past weekend, and nothing really changed. So that was that was really cool for me.
and how far do you want to take this? Like now, I know it's still fresh, but are you inspired? Like, do you want to be a spokesperson? Or do you just want to be like, yo, this is me, and then can we all just move on? Like, do you want to, I know you said turn this negative into a positive. How far do you want to go with that?
Yeah, Ariel. Like you said, it's still fresh. So even coming on here and talking to you was something that was like, do I do it? Do I not? Like, why? Like, why put myself in another headline again? Like, but I justified it with inspiring others. So as far as speaking, like I've spoken to wrestling teams. I've spoken at high schools, middle schools before, just about fighting and what it took to get to where I was at, or to where I'm at. And so as far as speaking on this topic, yeah, there's a potential for that. I'm not. I think I still got to let things settle in a little bit, but there's for sure a potential for that. The people I've reached out, and there's been brands and ambassadors, and um, yeah. There's a guy, Jason from Soul Agency out in New York City. He gave me a little pep talk an hour or two when I was like, do I do this? An hour or two ago, excuse me. I'm like, hey, do I do this? Is this a good idea? And so shout out to him. He kind of put things into perspective, and I want to use this platform for sure to again inspire as many people as I can. But I think after this, I need to still let everything settle in, and I've come to terms with a lot, but there's still some things I need to come to terms with. So I'm gonna I'm gonna do that, and whatever comes from that comes from that.
Okay. How do you feel? How do you feel about this now? We have been talking for about 35, 40 minutes. Do you feel good about this?
3 minutes? Jeez.
Yeah. You feel you feel at peace?
I
Do you
won't
feel
shut
like
up
this?
then.
Yeah. Do you feel like it was the right choice?
Yeah. Like I said, right after the statement, there was regret. There was like, man, I did a pretty good job of making sure that video is not accessible, and maybe I should have just kept my head low and been like, no, that wasn't me. Um, not too far down the road, I realized like, no, this is there is a part of that's freeing, and I guess that's something I haven't talked about. Was there is something that's just like, not that I wasn't being myself before, but now I can completely be myself. If that makes sense. Like there is a part that's freeing, and it has been cool seeing everybody reach out. The messages from either me inspiring them or people that are my friends, family that were like, "We love you, man." Um, so the way I'm feeling now is I don't know. It's hard to. It's a mix of emotions. Like I said when I first got on the show, but there no regrets. Like
Yeah.
the
The
famous
tattoo.
tattoo
Yeah.
says. Yeah, no regrets. I can be myself, and I've come to terms with, man, there's nothing abnormal about me besides my butchered ears. That I'm just here, you know, I'm still the same guy. This is something that's small that just so happens to be what it is, and it shouldn't be frowned upon. It shouldn't be looked at different because of it. It's just, you know, sexual preferences is something that's nobody else's business, and if it doesn't concern you, yeah, like get fucked.
Mm.
Like there's no reason to hate on somebody else or yeah, to direct hate towards anybody else for something that they can control.
Two last things, if I may. And again, thank you. And I think you've done a great job explaining everything. How do you think you will react if a fighter says, I don't want to fight you because of this? Or if people on Twitter come and pile it on because they can do that? Or if someone uses this as part of, like, who the hell knows? It's a crazy sport, right? You know this. How do you think you will react to that?
Yeah, honestly, that's not even a thought I had. So the fact that someone wouldn't fight me because of a sexual preference is something that would be yeah, it's something I'd be shocked by, surprised by. Um, I guess I don't know what I'd be able to do about that. Like besides spew words at them like, "Oh, you're scared" or something. Like at this point in the UFC, like I don't think anyone's scared of anybody, man. Like
No.
we're all uh, we're all fighters. Obviously, there's easier matchups than others, but yeah, I'm not sure how to react to a situation like that. If that's the case, I don't know exactly what I can do about it besides be like, well, I wanted to fight you. You don't want to fight. Okay, move on. As far as more hate on Twitter, I
Whatever.
mean, what can I do about that too? So it's the only thing I can control is how I let it affect me. And I think as of recent, I've done a pretty good job of just I don't care. I don't care, and um, the support I've gotten outweighs the negative shit by a landslide. And yeah, as far as what you said, the Twitter people not wanting to fight me, not much I can do about it. I can only focus on what I control. So from that aspect, it's just whatever, move on.
And just curious, why do you think this is it maybe because it's just like the first, but like there's a ton of openly gay, lesbian, female fighters, right?
Right.
And we don't bat an eye. A lot of famous ones like Amanda Nunes is in the
Yeah.
Pride Parade. Like why is this different in your opinion?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it is because of it being a manly sport.
Right.
And, for a long time, women weren't allowed in the UFC. I don't want to say allowed, but there just wasn't a women's
Yeah.
division. And I think there is this, I guess, stereotype of almost like for the broy guys that they're like, oh, lesbians are hot, like lesbians are this, like like a lot of men don't mind lesbians, but a lot of men do mind gay or bisexual men, um, just from whatever insecurity they might have or whatever they want to justify that bothersome or what the way they feel about that, to think maybe they're trying to hit on them or like them or are uncomfortable by something that um, gay men or bisexual men do. So I think it just comes from that stereotype that, oh, lesbians are cool, like it'd be hot to get with the lesbian, it's that mindset. And kind of boyish outlook on that, and the fact that it is more of a masculine sport, that I think it is more overlooked, that there's tons of lesbian fighters, and but you know, let there be a gay UFC fighter, a bi UFC fighter. This is the reaction.
Okay. Last thing, w- there might be someone watching right now who was in your shoes a week ago, who might feel conflicted or worried or anything like that. You know the emotions well. What would you say to a young man who might be feeling the way you do? It might be, everyone's journey is different, everyone's path is different, but if there's any advice that you can, because you said like you feel a little bit free now, that's like one of the positives, right? Like this is off your back, you could just be who you are and be open and happy about it. Is there anything that you would say to someone who might be feeling a certain way about all this?
Yeah. It seems like the reaction in your head is always going to be the worst. Like, what if this happens? What if that happens? But it's almost coming to terms with who you are. And as of now in the world, it's not normal behavior. It's not a norm to be attracted to the same sex as a guy. Um, but you can't change who you are, and it's okay to be who you are. If you're not hurting anybody and your sexual preference is the same sex, there's nothing wrong with it. And unfortunately, sometimes it is looked or frowned upon and looked down upon. But to the people that actually care about you and love you and your friends, if they truly do love you and care about you, then their reaction is going to be a positive one that they support you, and shouldn't care whom you choose to be with or sleep with. And I know when this all happened the other day, it was like my life's in shambles. It was like, it's almost like that high school thing where where you go to the same school every day, and when something happens in a situation, it seems like your life's over. But in retrospect, you're like, dude, it's high school. Like,
Yeah.
you graduate, you go off to college, you meet different people, you find people with your similar interests, you party, you have fun, you go to school, you move on, you get married, life goes on. There's so much more to life than just high school. But unfortunately, a lot of kids commit suicide or kill themselves for something that in retrospect isn't doesn't last forever, but it seems that way because you're there every day, and it's 4 years of your life. I'm saying that to say, like, I felt like my life was in shambles. It was just like, what the fuck do I do? Like, I don't know what to do. And luckily I had people I could reach out to, and kind of guide me. But in retrospect, it's like my life wasn't in shambles, man. This came out not the way I wanted to, but you move on. There's so much more to life than, where am I going to be 5 years down the road? Where am I going to be in 8 years down the road, 10 years down the road? Like, and I think it's almost that same mindset of the high school thing. Just, yeah, I know when you're in high school, maybe you're getting bullied or you're having trouble with something. And I know a lot of people can relate that they don't even remember, like they don't even, 3 years down the road, they're in college, their lives are completely different. They move to a different state. And that's the way I felt. So I'm saying all that to say, it, it is something that is freeing to just to be yourself. And it might not seem worth it, but this sounds cliche, but everyone's journey is different. Like, you have to be ready for it. Don't just listen to a video or something and say, okay, I'm ready. Like, you have to come to terms with it yourself. And I know I'm coming from a perspective where I wasn't ready for it, but I made myself get ready for it. And again, everyone's journey is different. So take as much time as you need. But just don't be afraid to be yourself. And when you are ready, you know, do it in a way where you tell your friends, tell your family. It doesn't have to be like, in my case, it was a fucking social media post. I wish it didn't have to be that. I wish it was just a conversation I could have had with the people I care about. But it doesn't have to be a social media post. It can be something as relaxed as a conversation. And those that care for you and love you will look at you the same.
Much love and respect, Jeff. Thank you very much for coming on. Thank you for speaking about all of this in a real, honest, and authentic, genuine way. A lot of respect for you and a lot of support from this side of the table to that side of the screen. All of us here, respect and love for you. And I know there's a lot of people in the MMA community, a lot of the good people, the truly kind-hearted people that have your back. So I hope that you are feeling that support. And hopefully you can move past this and you'll just be known as Jeff Molina, the MMA fighter, the UFC fighter. And this is just a little footnote and a proud footnote for you, if I'm being honest. So well done. And hopefully, I wish you the best with everything that's going on outside of all of this. And we could see you back in the UFC and in short time and you can resume your very promising young career.
My man, you're a genuine mensch, Ariel. I appreciate how supportive you've been through all this, the text, the phone calls of like, man, if you don't want to do this, you don't have to do this. I'm not pressuring you to do anything. That meant a ton. And one more time, the foundation that I'm a part of, it's called One Community BJJ. .com is the website for it. One Community BJJ. There's a GoFundMe on it. Again, volunteers, donations, all that jazz. Again, something I'm passionate about. So any support we can get would mean a ton. I'm gonna tweet out the Twitter, the website here shortly. So again, any attention we can get towards that, again, spinning this shitty situation to a positive, makes it good for me. So once again, thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Well done. Well done. Yes. Hang in there, my man. And we'll talk to you soon. All right. Take care. There he is. Jeff Molina. Appreciate him very much. Great, honest stuff from him. And wish him nothing but the best.